everybody, it's Paul from Alexandria Knife Sharpening and Laser Engraving. I have my buddy here, Taylor Haupt, and I'm gonna do an introduction here for Taylor. Kind of feel a little bit like Sean Ryan, like we're doing a, you know how he always introduces the guests and gives a little bit of their background. I want to do that for Taylor here. He's a special guest of mine. Let me tell you a little bit about Taylor, and I'll let him talk a little bit about himself, and then we'll get on with the rest of our video. But Taylor is a graduate of Johnson & Wales University, where he earned a degree in culinary arts and food service management. He works as a private chef in Washington, D.C., preparing meals for we'll say a high-profile individual. He does this every day, and he obviously has to meet incredibly high standards when you work for a high-profile individual like that as a private chef. Many of you may also recognize him. He's been on the Food Network. He has competed on Chopped and beat Bobby Flay.
Yes.
He's also the co-founder, and this is something we were just kind of talking about, of Bay Brothers BBQ, where he develops recipes, sauces, and competes in barbecue competitions. And we were just talking about how it's really awesome when you love what you do.
Yes.
And
yes.
Of all the chefs that I know, and I know several of them, I've always gotten the impression that you love cooking.
Yes.
That you love what you're doing. And one of the reasons is because if you can cook all week for somebody else, and then when you're off on the weekends, you want to go and work in a barbecue competition with your buddies, that just tells me right there, like, you love cooking.
Absolutely.
You know, and that you love the competition of cooking.
Yes.
You're willing to go on Food Network, and you like the stress and challenge of all of that. And if you guys have never been to a barbecue competition, they're pretty amazing. I've only a couple years ago started going to them.
Yes.
And
it's a fun time.
It is a blast. It's a fun time, and I love how they all have like different names and trucks, and I got to meet a bunch of the chefs that do the barbecue competitions, and it's always amazing to me all the effort that these guys put into it, and
on a weekend hobby.
Yes, on a weekend hobby, and the money too, because these are not inexpensive. The first guy I ever met, he spent like $20,000 on his grill and stuff, and drove all the way to Texas to get it, to bring it back here. And he's here in this area. He was a guy who worked at the Pentagon.
Oh wow!
So really amazing stuff. But that's Taylor's background. Did I miss anything, Taylor?
No, that was a great introduction.
Pretty good introduction.
Yeah, private chef in D.C. I serve one very high-profile client, so that's my day-to-day. And barbecue on the weekends, and just always looking for something to get into.
Every day, you guys know that follow my channel. I mean, I'm sharpening all the time. I've been sharpening for Taylor here for several years now. There's a big difference between sharpening knives and what I'm looking for in a knife as a sharpener when I test them. But I am not a professional chef. In fact, in my house, I don't even do the cooking. My wife does the cooking.
Nice.
Who's very upset that she's not here because she wanted to, watch this and maybe learn some things from Taylor. So we're gonna have to bring them back.
We'll set it up
when she's here. But so when that's how you make your living, do it every day. These are the tools of your trade.
Yes.
And so knives are super important to you because this is how you're making your living. I assume at this point in your career, you have handled all kinds of knives. You have a very good idea what you like.
Yes.
I know you love Japanese knives, and like I said, when I was thinking of my chef friends that I could bring in, I believe almost all your knives are Japanese.
100%.
Yes.
And I very much see, and I've said it time and time before, I see my chef knife is an extension of me. It's that important to what I do every day that without that, I'm not the craftsman that I am in my line of work.
Right. So, and that's super important. And I think every craftsman, even if it's a guy that's building houses, like they might have a particular hammer that they like, or whatever it is.
You need particular grinders.
Yes,
you need things
I have the particular
do the great work that you do.
Sharpeners that I like, and things that I like to use to make sure that my clients like you are really happy with their knives. And that's why we're here today. So I wanted to bring in the very best person that I could think of to test a Japanese chef's knife out, and we'll move into the next room. I'm going to talk a little bit about this particular knife. So TASKI is trusting us with a prototype knife. So this knife is not even available yet. And I do want to stress this, that it is not the finished product.
Of course.
Yet. What you're going to see when we do show this knife, the finished ones, it's going to look a little different. It's going to be, as far as style, shape, and all that, exactly the same. Steel, the same.
Yes.
Edge, the same. But appearance-wise, it's more of an aesthetics thing.
Of course.
It's going to look very different.
Of course.
It's going to be prettier. Is really what it comes down to. But they did want to make sure that I told everybody that. The other thing I do want to talk about, and I'm going to pull it off the notes here real quickly, because this is important too. So TASKI is bringing in their own steel now. They actually are making a new steel variant. So this steel is going to be called, it's TS60 steel. Their other knives were VG10.
Yep.
Which is
familiar.
A great steel. And the TS60, from what they are telling me, is very comparative to VG10. The reason that they decided to go to a different supplier but bring in something that's practically identical is VG10's becoming very difficult to get. They're sometimes having to plan 10 and 12 months in advance to get steel supplies, which I have seen this. And the last time I saw a real problem with steels was actually during COVID. That's when we saw a lot of new steels coming out.
Yes.
Because a lot of the companies couldn't get what they normally use, so they started going to their chemists and saying, hey, what can we, make that would be similar to VG10? Their chemists would come up with an idea or add a different, a little more chromium, a little of this. And that's, nowadays we have all kinds of steels. It's just crazy. More so in the EDC area, I see it a lot. It's actually become a thing where they just come out with new steels all the time. The way I look at it, I don't really, if the hardness is the same, if its resistance to rust is the same and it performs the same, it's the same on the HRC, which is how hard a knife is.
100%.
I could really care less about which steel it is when they're like almost the same thing.
As long as we hit those specs. And
so that is one thing I do want to see, though, is I do want to see how well, this is something I'll be tracking, how well does this perform over time? Does it perform as well as the VG10?
Very cool.
The other great thing about it for TASKI people, TASKI suppliers and customers, they are getting it at a better price, and they are passing that on to the customers and the retailers. Their premium knives that were just over 200 or in that 220 range are going to be right around 200. They're coming down. And they're going to be using this new steel on all of them. But rather than take it as profits, they decided to pass it on to those of us that carry the knives and sell the knives, which I thought was really great too, because I can tell you, as someone who sells knives, that's the mark.
Yes.
Like when people are looking for their first really nice knife, that $200 range, and even like I would say $150 and up.
Yes.
But people love like a great knife if it's up between like $150 and $200. A lot of people are willing to go to $225, $230, but you have some Miyabi blacks and knives that are $400 or $500, and I have some clients that have knives even in the thousands of dollars. Not everybody's willing to go there.
Of course.
For obvious reasons, and for some people it just doesn't make sense.
Yes.
Also, if you're a home cook, you may never have any interest in owning a really high-end knife like that. I think you'll agree with this. I think when most people start using a Japanese knife, it's hard to go back.
Oh, it's impossible.
To a Western
it's
knife,
impossible.
And
the reason I love Japanese knives is I'm looking for finesse. I'm looking for, something I'm going to be able to get beautiful, perfect cuts with, rather than if you have, if you're doing a lot of butcher work, dealing with a lot of bones, then you might want a Western knife that you can get through things and not have to worry about shipping it and things like that.
All right. I think we've done enough chit-chatting here, and I'll probably have to cut this down or break it into smaller pieces. But we're gonna move in and go to the kitchen and let Taylor do his thing, and I'm going to shut up from this point, and we'll start looking at the different knives.
Sweet.
And then we'll bring out the new knife, and you can put it through its paces.
Excellent.
And we'll see what you think of it.
I can't think of two better people, Paul.
All right, awesome. Let's go. All right, everybody, we've moved to the kitchen, and Taylor's got the new TASKI prototype knife in front of him. Here's my first question for you, Taylor. What's the first thing you notice when you pick it up?
Let's see. So the first thing I noticed, definitely the weight. It's a very light knife compared to some of the other knives I use. We'll see how that plays into the performance as I use it. I'm not used to using something this light. Although it's light, the balance does feel good on it. I love the feel of the handle. It's a nice, smooth handle. The shape of the handle's great. It fits well in the hand. And yeah, the heel feels good of it, and where I tend to hold on, I vote little bit of a wonky grip compared to some other people, but I found that knives in the past where this rubs against my fingers when I'm doing a lot of work, and right now it feels really nice and smooth, good shape. So I don't foresee that being an issue with this knife. I use Misono UX10s a lot, and they're really boxy there and have some sharp edges, so they're fine doing short tasks at a time, but if I'm cutting a lot of vegetables, they'll just start to wear away and get rather uncomfortable with the use of it. But as I hold it more, it's feeling more natural in my hand, and hopefully as I cut with it here and run it through some tests, I'll be able to get a true feel of how I feel about this weight and the balance. I love the profile. I feel like it's going to be good at rocking and chopping, and I also like how the edge comes, the tip comes to a nice point if I need to do more finesse tasks like filleting fish or getting into some smaller areas.
There's a whole bunch of things here that you can grab from. You're welcome to take whatever you want and just
excellent.
Let us know what you think.
Sweet.
Start doing what you do.
Awesome. I'm going to start with the pepper here. I think that's a really good test to how a knife's going to cut. Like I was just telling Paul a little bit earlier, I'm going to actually fan it out, and I'm going to go through the skin side. It's really going to tell me a lot about this knife. Also coming through here and scooping out this inside is really, you can see how nice that glided through that. Very impressive. Because there's even some times where I like to get even more of the flesh out so I can get a more, small Brunoise cut. I'm really appreciating that so far. So like I said, I want to go through the skin side. I'm going to rock, but I'm also going to chop through this, see what we're working with. First we'll rock, which, as I suspected, it's just a really good rock. Feels great coming off the board. It is getting high enough. I have good knuckle clearance. I was also concerned about that. So now let's see more of a chop. Yes, that's excellent. Just made easy work out of that pepper skin. As a lot of you know, it's harder to go through the pepper skin. Like traditionally I would flip it over, go through the flesh side, but to test a knife, I really like to see how it goes through there. Another great test is obviously the tomato. Wow. The way that this glides through the tomato, I'm barely pushing when I do that. So that's very impressive. So once again, just like the pepper, I'm going to take the flesh out of this tomato and then kind of cut through and see what we're working with. So here's a great test. Just glides through. Very nice. Plenty of clearance here. I love that the lightness hasn't been an issue with me so far. Again, I just want to see how it goes through the tomato skin. Flawless. So very impressive. And then we'll rock through the flesh. I really like the way it feels when I'm rocking it. That's when I notice the lightness the most, rather than when I'm chopping, is when I'm rocking. But in a positive way, I'm feeling that lightness. I'm really enjoying that with the rocking motion. And now I know every home cook's most unfavorite task. I don't mind as much. I've learned not to cry, but the onion. So we'll cut this. I think I'll julienne half of it, and then we'll do a small dice on the other half just to see how this performs in different tasks. So with the small dice, I'm really looking for something that's going to glide nicely through these layers, so I can section it off and really get a beautiful, perfect dice out of it. Let's see how it performs here. Little more resistant than some of the knives that I've used. Still working great, but just a little more resistance than I would like there. But this is where I think this tip is going to perform really well, just like I expected. I have not seen a tip like this in a long time that makes that quick of work out of an onion. And then, of course, let's just push through and see what we do here. Wow. Stunning. Just glides right through that. A perfect dice. Very impressive.
That's awesome.
That's fantastic.
My wife showed me that trick with the
Yes.
putting the little slices in.
Yep. And there's 1,000 ways people do it 1,000 different ways, and it's like.
Now the resistance, do you think any of that might have to do with the weight that you're used to using, or do you think it's just
I think
the factory edge?
I think it's the factory edge. I would love to maybe come back next week after you play with it and see how it performs.
That would be fun.
Because it's not the thickness. Yeah. I think it's definitely a mix between factory edge and maybe the weight.
Yep.
Because when I go through like that, I barely press in. I let the knife do a lot of the work. Mm-hmm. So I definitely think a lot of that's the weight. Okay. But very interested to see once you get your edge on it, as I know, after coming around here for 5+ years, it's going to perform very well. I imagine it will.
I mean, fortunately, being a professional sharpener and having done this for quite some time,
yes,
and I will say this too: TASKI tested me.
Yes,
because I am one of their recommended sharpeners. They wanted to see what I could do, and I've had many chefs tell me whatever knife, my Miyabi, my whatever, is sharper than it was when I first.
And I agree with that.
And I will say that for professional sharpeners, a good professional sharpener can make your knife perform
100%.
Really however you want it to.
100%.
Because there's a lot of factors.
The reason I keep coming back. Out of the box, it's one of the better factory edges that I've ever seen.
That's great.
You know, some knives they say are never going to be as sharp as the moment they come out of the box, which I think is wrong.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
I hate that statement.
Yeah.
Especially coming to a professional like Paul, as long as I have, and trusting him with my knives. Impressive edge straight out of the factory box, I must say. So I'm just going to julienne. This is going to be a great test of the weight of this. As I come around do a radial julienne on this will be very eye-opening to how I like the performance of the weight of this knife. And yeah, the weight is no problem there. It's just coming through. I really like the lightness when I'm doing that julienne. There was no resistance. It went through with ease. Yeah, that was fantastic. So far we've done, say, 3 softer things. Pepper's easy to get through. Onion's easy to get through. Tomato obviously is very delicate, so we don't want something that's going to smash it while we cut through, and it didn't. We kept all of our, but let's try carrot. I think it's going to be a good test here of something firm. When I'm cutting something like this, I'm looking for the blade to go straight down. Sometimes when you get firmer things, your blade can kind of go away on you, which I've noticed with a few knives. So I'm looking, when I'm cutting something like this, I'm looking for the blade to stay nice and straight so I can get those very precision cuts on it. Wow. So once again, just really glides through there. Very impressive. So now we'll come through, we'll take some small cuts, and we'll see with both the weight and the thickness of the blade how I feel. I'm going to take some pretty small, I'm going to do julienne here, so I'm going to take some small planks here and just see what we're working with. So it's staying nice and straight. Very easy to line up and get precise with. I really like that. So again, let's see how we rock here. Will be a good test. Fantastic. The weight of it, the precision of it, I really like it, especially for a julienne. You know, we can push through rather than rock is fantastic. I mean, just really precision cuts coming off of there, which is definitely a plus doing small tasks like this.
Nice. Here's an interesting question for you.
Of course.
Would a knife like this fit into something for your barbecue competition?
100%. When we're doing barbecue especially, you know, when you're going to do turn-ins for barbecue, especially ribs, you know, you've cooked these ribs for 3 hours, so you're really looking for something. This knife is just gliding through this potato. You're really looking for something that's not gonna, essentially you braise the meat at that point. It's very tender. So I need something that's gonna get through the meat without tearing it, get a precision cut on it. I compete once a month, twice a month. If I can rely on this to be in my kit and get through those ribs every time, because A, it holds an edge, B, it's precise, yes, this would absolutely play beautifully into barbecue. Wow, this is just gliding through this potato. I'm really enjoying the thickness of the blade here. Once again, the weight of it has proven me wrong. I traditionally use heavier knives. So my biggest concern coming into all these tests were how the weight of this would perform. And I'm just...
It's interesting.
I'm shocked.
It's interesting you bring that up because remember I was telling you my wife and I gravitate very much to different knives.
Yes.
She... like you, gravitates to very heavy knives.
Yes. And
I'm the opposite. I actually kind of like them on the lighter side.
Absolutely.
But I think that's also a personal thing. I think you need to bond with with a knife.
And my wife and I are the opposite. She loves a light knife, and again, like you said, I like something heavier, but the precision on these cuts is just unreal. The weight was my biggest concern, and it's outperformed what I would have expected to, as someone who enjoys a more hardy knife.
Is there any other knives that you've used that this reminds you of?
It reminds me of something very specific. Yes, my very first knife after I graduated college was a Miyabi that my parents got me. And this whole section, the handle's almost exactly the same shape, and how it transitions into the blade is almost the same, as well as the variance in the steel at the bottom of the blade reminds me exactly of that knife. Where my mind went, comparing those two before I even picked this up, was that's a heavy knife.
Right.
It's got some weight to it. I was worried coming into it, but wow, the weight of this is and it's felt completely balanced the entire time I use it, which I was not expecting at all.
Does it compare well with the other Japanese knives?
Yes, 100%. Of course, I would love to use it more. I could really, after a week or two, give a really good feedback on it.
We can absolutely arrange for you to
absolutely
keep testing it. That
absolutely
would be awesome. Okay, here's a good question. Does this knife feel more like it's designed for a professional kitchen or a home cook or either?
I think both, and that's what I love about companies like this is I would feel just as comfortable walking into work with this as I would be giving it to my wife or my mom or my mother-in-law.
And I know you've given many knives to give.
Yes, and
so that's one thing I've known from Taylor. As you guys know, I do laser engraving.
Yes.
And I've engraved many knives that he has given away to people for...
At the price point that I've given those knives, given knives as gifts, this would be a no-brainer.
Is right where these knives fall.
Exactly. And it would be a no-brainer for what I'm seeing in the performance, the materials, the build of it is just fantastic.
The other thing I wanted to remind you, so the final version of this knife we know is going to have a Damascus sides.
That's going to be fantastic.
Is also, does that change your opinion of it all? Or
I like it more. I love the look of Damascus. I love the performance of it.
Okay.
I have quite a few Damascus knives myself, as you know. My Miyabi Blacks are Damascus. So I've always loved everything about it. So I think that'll enhance this knife even more than it already is.
Who do you think this knife's best suited for?
Everyone.
Everybody?
I would.
So all around?
I would be comfortable giving this to a graduate out of culinary school. I'd be comfortable giving this to a dish steward who's helping with prep, a family member. I think this knife lends itself to being a workhorse for anyone that uses it. I'm impressed. I'm excited to see the final product. I'm excited to see that Damascus.
Yep.
Again, and I know Paul will help me on this one. I would like to work with it for a week to see if that could change my mind on the weight and compare it to my 9 or 10 knives at home. It would be fun to cut side by side with them and cut something and switch out to one of mine. I would be very interested, but overall, I'm very excited. I think this is going to be an incredible knife, a knife that I would be comfortable gifting to people, a knife that I would be comfortable suggesting to people, as I know you are.
Yep.
And I think TASKI's onto something here.
That's great. Yeah, I was very particular, as you know, when I brought them in.
Yes.
I get offers all the time. And being a small shop, I didn't have room for 100
Of
different
course,
styles
you
of
had
knives.
to choose one.
And I had to pick one.
Yep.
And having spent 2 years in Japan and having been to Seki and knowing that the quality knives
Yes,
that come out of there.
it's the capital of knife making. In
Yep.
my opinion, Seki is the capital of knife making.
I agree,
The
too.
best knives come out of
And,
Seki. Is this from the shop you told me about?
This is from the cut, yeah.
I still need to go.
Yeah, well, I keep telling her, buy the dry aged steak. I love a dry aged steak.
It makes such a difference. Oh, my God.
So I just had them cut them 1 inch size. I left them for you to
Sweet.
trim since you're the pro. If it hadn't been that, I would have told them to trim them all up for me. But
Man. So with this, I just like take a little of this fat off. Not too much because we want it to render down. This is a beautiful steak. The dry age on it is phenomenal. So again, this will be another really good test for this knife because, you know, we talked about uses of knives before.
right.
This is a safe test for this. You know, I'm not going to be going near any bone. I'm just going to be trimming some fat here. So there's no chance of chipping this. Or this is a great task for a Japanese knife because we're going to get the finesse of trimming some of this fat off and some of this dry aging off, which might be a little harder with a more bulkier knife. So I just like to come around and trim it up a little bit. This will be a great test because we can just stand it on its side here. Wow, that just glided through that effortlessly.
That's the one thing with dry aging, right? You lose a lot of the
Yes,
steak
because you don't want any of this
stuff on the
skin
outside.
on the outside of it. But my God, this is just making quick work of this. As you can see, it's just gliding through there. And it's allowing me not to lose as much because I'm not coming through here with a big knife that is clunky and I'm taking too much off. I'm able to finesse my way through this. And you only get that with a Japanese knife. Even like I was saying, I have some Mercer bone-in knives and things like that, but it still would feel too clunky for this. I'm really enjoying that I can get into, here's a nice crevice that we can just get in with this tip, flawless. Just absolutely beautiful. I really enjoy any time a knife can really help me finesse my way through something. And even here, some thicker cartilage, some thicker dry aging right by that bone, it's just effortlessly going through it, which to me is just very impressive. Just very quick work made out of that steak here. I still have to go down there, man. I keep meaning to. Maybe this weekend I'll finally get over there.
It's nice. I've gotten my wife to start getting pretty much everything from there. The chicken's great, so much better than
I bet.
supermarket chicken.
Well, it's incredible to
doesn't
see.
have all the water in it and everything.
Well, and usually the color's even a little different because
the
it's
taste
not.
is, it's funny. I never order chicken out.
Yes.
But when I started to do that, sometimes you realize like the huge difference between really good chicken that hasn't been filled with saline.
Oh, absolutely.
And you go, oh. So this is what chicken's supposed to taste.
Well, yeah, and I laugh. I obviously source the best possible product that I can at work.
Right.
And my boss will often make the comment of, wow, this really tastes like beef, or this really tastes like chicken. And anyway, you would think that would be a really odd thing to say, but it's not, because the products that we use often from grocery stores are pumped with saline, pumped with other things. So it's like this steak's going to taste like steak in the best possible way. It's going to be umami. It's going to be, so that's just really fantastic. But great performance. Really fun to get out of the vegetable realm of things and see how it.
And cut some real meat.
Cut some meat. See how it, and it just made.
Some real expensive meat with it.
It just made very quick work of that. It's as you would expect, like butter, which is very impressive.
That's great. All right, Taylor, thank you. This has been awesome. This is exactly why I wanted Taylor here, because I look at a knife from the standpoint of sharpening, edge geometry, construction, and the long-term maintenance of a knife. Taylor looks at it from a working chef who depends on a knife every day. Two very different perspectives, and that's why I brought in a pro. And this was really enlightening, and it was great to have you here. And thank you, Taylor, for doing this for us. I think the other thing, now that I have you here, I do want to ask your opinion. What do you think of the cutting board?
I thought it was
very unique cutting boards.
Yes.
These are Cypress
I thought it was great.
cutting boards from TASKI.
it wasn't grabbing the knife, and also the knife wasn't slipping. So I thought it was a perfect balance of, you know, as of any wooden board, you're going to get some marks in it, but...
Two to the left of you, too?
Yes.
My wife absolutely adores those, so they are...
I love
they have
that
little
it
stands so you
cool.
can dry them, and yeah, that's been very popular.
That's awesome.
Now, from what TASKI tells me, and it's a little different from us here in the U.S., we usually put some type of oil on our cutting boards.
Yes.
They run them underwater and just get them wet and then use them. So that's what I've been told.
Very cool.
I haven't tried oiling one yet. I might at some point, just because.
Why not?
See
how it performs.
It can't hurt
exactly.
I was surprised with. I thought everyone was going to love this oval one shaped, which I think is really. It's a pretty board.
It was really fun.
I have sold more of the two to the left of you. Many people have come in, and I've had a lot of people like in Arlington. I had a couple little ladies that came in, and they were like, "This is exactly my kitchen's so tiny. I have no space.
Yes,
I need a small cutting board, and I love that it stands up."
It's a game changer.
Yeah,
I mean, you put these in a cabinet. They sit against each other. They get a little weird sometimes if they're not completely dry, and it can sit on your counter. I really like that it's a conversation piece. Someone immediately goes, "What's that?" Awesome. And they were really smart to do a little two-tone wood on it. I think it's fantastic.
Learned a lot myself, and it's really impressive to watch you work up close.
Thank you.
And in my own kitchen where I stumble around and should just stick to the garage and sharpening knives. So, but thank you. This was awesome. I will happily let you take this knife with you.
Fantastic.
And if you want to continue putting it through its paces,
yes.
And maybe send me like a small video clip in a week from now. Let me know how it's doing and if you love it.
After this, I've been really enlightened. I'm looking forward to see what TASKI does with this and what TASKI does with all their knives in the future.
Me too. I'm really looking forward to seeing the final product, which will be out in August.
Wow.
So that will that's exciting too, to see what it looks like in the end. And
Absolutely.
See the finished version, because I know it's going to be a lot prettier.
Yes.
So. All right.
Good.
Well, thank you, everybody.
Thanks
for checking out the video today. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know it's a lot different than my normal content, but I really felt we needed to bring a pro in for this, and I didn't just want to give you my normal sharpener test that I do. To really test a Japanese chef's knife, we need a professional chef to put it through its paces. So thank you again, Taylor. It's been awesome.
Thanks for having me, Paul.